South Korea's Air Force today staging a live fire drill simulating the destruction of North Korea's leadership. 4 fighter jets dropped 2,000-pound bombs on a target simulation. The drills came hours after North Korea launched a missile over Japan. Joining me right now to talk about North Korea's aggression, South Korea's show of force, and a whole lot more. We are joined by Gordon Chang, an expert on North Korea and China, and a contributor for Forbes.com. It's good to see you, Gordon. This is getting a little alarming, shall we say. We spoke earlier with Ambassador Bolton, who really feels as though we are out of diplomatic options at this point. It has been too many years, and we're dealing with the same thing over and over again, like Groundhog Day. Are they ever going to listen? And if not, what are our options here right now?
Yeah, the North Koreans and the Chinese are not going to listen until the United States imposes costs on them that are so severe that they have no choice but to comply. The United States can actually do that. So, for instance, Chinese banks, and not small ones, but large ones, like Bank of China, which was named in a 20usixteen UN report, have been money laundering.
And by the way, they got a branch right down there a couple blocks away. I walked by it today.
Down 6th Avenue, enormous branch. And they've been money laundering for the North Koreans. I don't know why they're operating in the United States. I don't know why they have access to dollars. The United States can declare them a primary money laundering concern under Section 311 of the Patriot Act. They would be out of business everywhere outside of China, and their business in China would be severely crimped.
Yeah, they talk about sanctions, et cetera, and I look at it and I think unless you're really sanctioning China, and we saw the administration come out and sanction one bank, but there's a whole lot more that can be done. I feel as though we've just really started to scratch the surface, and if we really mean business here, and I think we do, shouldn't we be willing to do more?
Oh, certainly. And it's not just Bank of China. It's also Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, in all probability. That's the world's largest institution, and it's a number of other very large Chinese banks.
So let me just jump in and just ask you, because the president allegedly said in a recent meeting that he wanted some tariffs, and he wanted his economic advisors to come forward with some tariffs for China so that we could level the playing field on trade. Now, that's something he allegedly said in a meeting. Would tariffs do it, or do we need to be doing a whole lot more than tariffs?
Well, we do need to do the whole range of things. Okay. If you had tariffs that were imposed under Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974, we started a 301 investigation about 10 days ago. If those tariffs were high enough, and that would be to counter China's intellectual property theft, we could put the Chinese economy down. Not that we want to do that.
So what are we giving up? I mean, why? It seems to me that we should want to do this because of security reasons with North Korea. Why haven't we?
Well, everyone's worried because, we think that we need to integrate China into the international system, that's the highest priority of American foreign policy. We're worried about Chinese retaliation. I actually don't think we have to be too worried because we're the trade deficit country, Trish. Last year, we had a $309.3 billion deficit, according to the most recently revised numbers from the Commerce Department. Trade deficit countries don't worry about trade wars. And besides, we have a much bigger economy than China's. We can push them around. Our economy is stable. We're not geared to selling things to China, but China is geared to selling things to us. And they've got an economy heading to...
we've got the upper hand. Do we realize we have the upper hand?
Absolutely, and we're afraid to use it. If we were willing to take some steps that would impose costs on the U.S., the Chinese would start to see that we're serious about protecting the American people from North Korea and some other threats like Iran, which China's also fueling.
Look, I think you're right. I think the answer lies in China, and we've got to get tough with China, increasingly so. Gordon Chang, thank you so much. Good to see you.